What's happening, people? Back with another reaction, back with some more Soft Cell, as well as a playful Luca who has recently awakened from a nap. And yes, we're returning to Cruelty Without Beauty 2002. Thank you, as always, to Kim, as well as to Mark and many others who commented last week, and more broadly in terms of giving me insight into Soft Cell's lyrics, which often have attitudes and emotions and psycho-emotional states that can be understood more broadly, but very specific scenes and places and concepts that might not be apparent to someone who's not familiar. And indeed, or I guess it wasn't last week, it was the last Soft Cell reaction, so maybe a few weeks ago. But yes, I appreciate the indication that they were talking about a very specific theater famous for plays about death and insanity and violence and so on. So yes, that was very helpful, and I appreciate all the insight. And the next tune, I'm assuming, will have some similar dual-layered meaning. At the very least, the concept, the night, is straightforward, but bears lots of connotations, meaning denotation, the specific meaning, the semantic foundation of a word or phrase, but then connotations are the things that are related to or associated with whatever the word or phrase is, but which are not specified explicitly in the semantic meaning. And I'm guessing we'll be dealing with connotations here. So yes, the night, the opposite of the day, the second half of our daily cycles. Of course, it is darker during the night, more dangerous and or furtive things can take place in the night, at least in terms of what is common, and of course those can be seen as taboo but are more easy to get away with in the evening. The night is of course also when parties are more common, when sex is more common, when vices are perhaps pursued more vigorously. And given Soft Cell's lyrical history, which again, I don't expect it in 2002 to be identical to what it was in the mid-80s or early to mid-80s, but at the same time, I'm guessing there may be some reference to vice or sex or to what happens in the shadows, which are, let's say, ubiquitous at night, since there is only starlight and moonlight, reflected sunlight. So yes, I feel like it might be playing off of the things that happen among humans and maybe the dangers or the pursuit of the more seedy side of life in the night. So let's see if there's any of that relevant here. This is Soft Cell, the track is The Night, and it's from their 2002 album Cruelty Without Beauty.
Beware
would you relax, you rapscallion? I love soft cell. I've said it before after some of their songs, but I feel like this keeps being confirmed and enhanced, and I'm loving this album. So, okay, first of all, the Sonics. I love the liquidy bass line. It's dark, it's groovy, it has a bit of that like 90s trance, hard trance, techno flair to it. So even though I would call this like danceable synth pop on the darker end, I can feel the difference when I say that for a 2002 track here relative to something from 84, 83, 82, and so on. So yes, it feels like the electronic Sonics, which have been there from the beginning with their music and have been dark from the beginning, are nevertheless like they're a bit more dense or evolved. And so definitely like I think the electronic sound has been crystallized, is perhaps the best way I can say it. It's definitely fast. I love, and I'm thinking about Mark, talking about in was it the opening tune? I'm trying to remember which number track. Darker, was it Darker Times was the opening tune. Talking in that about like, continuing to dance as a way to essentially, stay sane or to retain your humanity and so on. It seems they've been dancers from the early days, and this one I can just totally see tearing it up at a dance club with the lights out and sort of just flashes of people on the dance floor. So yeah, kinetically it moves, it's got energy, it's got fast pacing, and yet I also love those syncopated down tempo sections, like just a bar or two between the measures. Those really add a nice like contrast, and so when it drops back into the steady 4/4 to the floor rhythm, I enjoy that transitional moment. I also like the like gothic sort of organ stylings that we get at the beginning, and I think at one or two interlude sections along the way. So yeah, it's dance floor, it's driving, it's got almost like underground dance music flavors, and not just in that liquidy bass. There's also some like synth flares and what's the right word? Again, almost like psychedelic synth flourishes and riffs that occur incidentally along the way. But as I said, it has a bit of a dark gothic flavor as well. So yeah, I just love the sonic stylings. Lyrically, I'm not entirely certain, though he is certainly contrasting the day from the night and emotions and feelings and perceptions in the day. And, even talk about it like an ivory tower during the day, but then at night things shift and, your head is spinning around and so on. But I feel like maybe there's a love triangle thing going on here, or like the narrator saying he's leaving because the person he's addressing has fallen for somebody else. But it sounds like the narrator's also saying like, if you think that's gonna last, if you think he's gonna love you, forever and you're gonna be happily ever after, you've got another thing coming. Would you not knock everything down? Yeah, I know, you're trying to knock things down. I'm well aware. I'll feed you in a moment if that's what you want, you dragon. But yeah, so it sounds like he's maybe saying, this other person, whatever you believe in the daytime, it's going to prove to be untrue, excuse me, as my voice dies, in the evening, and ultimately, what you're maybe being promised or what you're thinking might happen, it's not going to be the case. So maybe I'm misreading it, and maybe, it's not this three-person dynamic that I'm thinking, but that's what I took away from it, that the narrator is gonna head out the door because he sees the writing on the wall, but before he does so, he wants the other person to know that this is not, what it seems like in the garish light of day, and in fact, the night will actually reveal things as they really are. So yeah, do let me know how wrong about that I am, but yeah, I love Mark's singing. Again, it's like, it's eccentric in some ways, it's, maybe not the most pitch perfect in the pocket melodic delivery, although here I don't think it it sounds like especially eccentric or so on, certainly compared to some of the tunes from yesteryear. but I love just the personal touch, the personal flavor that he puts into it, and I love that it went into almost like an a cappella section at the very end of the tune. It was a nice vocal flourish while the rest of the sonics recede. So yeah, and that could even, maybe be the end of the night and the sunrise, or vice versa. It could be like, all the other sonics leaving is like his voice is, night falling upon the situation. So either way, I love it. It's fantastic. I can't wait to re-listen to it in headphones. So in any case, let me know what you think. I'm going to go try to make my voice not die and probably feed this girl. I will see you for the next one. Peace.